Alright, it's the most popular sport in the world, with more than 240 million people playing regularly. And no, it's not basketball, or baseball, or American football. That sport is soccer, or as it's better known around the world, football. Records show that this game originated over 2,000 years ago in China. It was called Su Chu, and it consisted of kicking a leather ball stuffed with fur into a small hole. Eventually, this spread to Japan, as well as Greece and Italy. In Japan, soccer began to take a similar shape to what we see today, in that it was played on a large rectangular field where teams of 2 to 12 players would attempt to kick the ball over the other team's end line. In Greece and Italy, teams were allowed to use their hands to carry and throw the ball, as well as tackle and kick opposing players. These two different forms of the game eventually collided in England in the 1800s, and were combined, sort of. In 1815, a major development took place that made soccer popular in universities, colleges, and schools. The English School and Eton College came forth with a set of rules known as the Cambridge Rules. From this point forward, football was segregated into two groups. Some colleges and schools opted for rugby rules that allowed tripping, shin kicking, and also carrying the ball. But these rules were exclusively prohibited by the Cambridge Rules, and this is where the modern-day game of soccer began to take shape. The history of modern-day soccer was established in 1863. In October of that year, 11 representatives from London clubs and schools met at the Freemasons Tavern to set up common fundamental rules to control the matches amongst themselves. The outcome of this meeting was the formation of the Football Association. In December of 1863, the split between rugby and soccer officially occurred, when supporters of the rugby school rules walked out. But even after this, the game of soccer still evolved with the introduction of the penalty kick in 1891. This meant that whenever a defender committed a foul in his own 18-yard box, the opposing team would get a free shot on goal from 12 yards away. Yellow and red cards were later introduced in 1970 as a way to make the game safer. These act much like the 6-foul limit in the NBA. In the NBA, if a player commits 6 fouls in a single game, they can no longer play for the remainder of that game. In soccer, if a player gets a yellow card, it is a warning for violating the rules, and a red card results in an immediate dismissal from the game for committing a very harsh foul. Since soccer isn't constrained to a single country, they decided that they need a governing body over all soccer in the world. And that governing body became known as FIFA. They set the rules for all games in the world and organized the World Cup and other worldly tournaments. Soccer is truly a world sport and perhaps the most popular, even if it doesn't feel like that here in the US. If you don't believe me, think of how many people tuned in to watch the Super Bowl. Last year was about 114 million. Now multiply that number by 6, and you'll get the amount of people who tuned in to watch the World Cup final between Argentina and Germany in 2014, approximately 700 million.